Do you like the idea of saving potentially thousands of dollars on your next property purchase? Because let's be honest, the way property prices are moving at the moment, every single dollar counts. In fact, a study was released last year that revealed up to 97% of homebuyers have a money related worry, which just reveals how much pressure homebuyers are under at the moment to make sure they don't overpay for a property and that they do get the best possible price. So in this video, we're going to go through the 6 best strategies to implement to make sure you don't overpay and to make sure you get the best possible price when it comes to negotiating for your next property purchase. So let's get into it. Hi, my name's Andy. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a buyer's agent and local expert in the Sydney real estate market. I represent home buyers, both first-time home buyers and young families who are looking for an advantage in the tricky Sydney real estate market. If that sounds like you, smash the subscribe button so you don't miss any golden nuggets along the way. Okay, so contrary to what many might have you believe, negotiation pretty much starts the minute you go to a house inspection. So let's say it's a Saturday, you've been on realestate.com, you see a house that fits your brief and you go along to the inspection. The real estate agent is going to be there along with his junior, opening the door and ready to answer any of your questions. That is prime time for you to gather information that can later be used in the negotiation process. So ask the real estate agent questions, basic questions, what type of tenancy it is, why are they selling, how long have they owned it for, have they had any major renovations done to the property, could you get a copy of the building and pest inspection report if there was one carried out, are the owners open to pre-auction offers if the property is going to auction. If you live in New South Wales or Victoria, auction is the norm, but you can put in an offer most of the time beforehand. Just ask the agent what the process is. Again, this is just early days. This is just information gathering, but so many buyers go to house inspections, go in, sign the book, leave, never talk to the agent, and then ignore the agent's call Monday morning as well. That is prime time to gather information and use your situation as a buyer to get as much information from the real estate agent, because ultimately they want to sell the property. They get paid when they sell it, so they don't really care who they sell it to. So show interest, be courteous, and get information that you can use later on in the negotiation process. Number 2 is carrying out your own competitive market analysis. Now, this might sound quite scary to some novice home buyers, but it is quite a simple process and you can do it using free software. So just going on realestate.com and looking at what has sold recently based on the type of property that you want to buy. So for example, if you're looking to buy a 2-bed apartment in the lower inner west of Sydney, depending on the suburb, and if you're looking for street parking and you want to be within a certain school catchment area, maybe you want an apartment in a boutique block of no more than 10 units in the block, you should be expecting to pay somewhere north of $900,000. Obviously the street and a lot of other factors come into play, but that will give you a ballpark figure. But if you're looking for something else, again, go on realestate.com, type in how many bedrooms, the land size, the type of parking, bathrooms, the suburb profile, and then go to the sold by date and see what's sold in the last 3, 6, and 12 months. And it'll give you a ballpark figure of how much you should expect to pay for that type of property. This will give you a good understanding of where the market value for these types of properties are, and also if the agent is underquoting with their price guide, which if anyone from Sydney here is watching will know it is very prevalent at the moment. There's an awful lot of underquoting happening. For example, I was inspecting a unit just 2-3 weeks ago. I won't name the suburb. There was a 2-bed unit. I asked the agent for the price guide. He said it was originally $750. It had been raised up to $810. I knew immediately this was underquoted because a unit in the same block sold a few months ago for $900,000 or so. So I knew it was madly underquoted. And it just went to auction there recently and sold for $990,000, nearly $1 million. And it was quoted at 800,000. So massively underquoted, but by doing your own competitive market analysis, it removes your dependence from the price guide and allows you to understand the actual true market value of the property based on your own research and not the price guide, which you want to stay away from, to be honest. But once you know the market value for the type of property you're looking to buy, you can use this to tailor your negotiation strategy, and it'll give you an idea on where to stop your bidding and make sure you don't overbid, and a good idea to where you want to start your first bid at without being offensive and lowballing completely and then getting ignored. So number 3 is understanding your market. Now, depending on what part of the country you're in or what city you're in, you'll have different market dynamics. Usually a market can be described as being either a buyer's market or a seller's market. Now, in a seller's market, usually it's a very, very hot market and things are selling very, very fast. There's FOMO, everybody wants a bit of the action, and it's very, very hard to negotiate a good price in a seller's market because it's so easy for the seller to sell that why would they negotiate a lower price, because they have people throwing offers at them left, right, and center. A prime example of that is at the time of recording this video, Perth is on fire. Everything is selling within a few days. I seen one property there online before I went to bed. It got uploaded, didn't even have any photos attached to it. I woke up the next morning, checked it, it had already been under offer. So that'll tell you that's prime seller's market. Whereas a buyer's market, you can probably think back at the start of 2022 when the interest rates start rising up. People start being afraid to buy, confidence left the market. It was very hard for sellers to sell their property because not a lot of buyers wanted to buy. It sounds counterintuitive because not many buyers want to buy in a buyer's market, but it is suited towards the buyers that do want to buy because they can negotiate a price because there's less competition and the seller might be more inclined to meet their wishes just to get the property over the line. So you need to understand where your market is in the market cycle. If it's very hot, if it's a seller's market, or it's cooling or cold and it's a bit of a buyer's market. Where your market sits on this cycle massively dictates what type of negotiation strategy you need to implement. So the best way, if you're just starting out, to understand your market is to get out to auctions, get out to house inspections and have a look and get a feel for how many people are going through inspections and how many people are bidding at auction. If it's fierce competition, if you turn up to an auction and there's 10, 15 paddles flying up and the price is rocking up with every single bid, that's a pretty hot market. At the moment in Sydney, you're expected to see maybe 4 or 5 paddles. It's okay. Most properties are selling way above the reserve, so there is competition there amongst buyers, but that's mostly down to do with the lack of supply on the market at the moment, which is bringing prices up. So spend a few weeks, go out to your market, go to inspections, go to auctions, get a real understanding, talk to agents, talk to other people at auctions who are bidding, and get a very good idea of where your market's sitting and how much competition you're going to face come negotiation time. Now, number 4 is understand the vendor. So many people skip this and don't think it's important. They think they just need to win over the real estate agent, but that's not really the case. You really want to focus on finding out the vendor's motivations through the real estate agent. So touching on point 1, when you are at the house inspections, to take that point one step further, the agent is most likely going to give you a call back on a Monday or a Tuesday to gauge your interest. This is a perfect opportunity for you to talk to the agent. So many people ignore the agent's phone call, but differentiate yourself. Pick up, answer the question, 5-10 minutes, find out why the vendor wants to sell. What is their motivation? What is it that they want? You'd be surprised. Price isn't always the most important thing to a lot of people who are selling. And depending on your unique scenario, you may be able to sell your story to influence the vendor to choose you over other buyers. Prime example of this is any first-time home buyers who are trying to buy a home. If the vendor is an older couple, use the fact that you want to buy the home to raise your family. You put a story in with your offer. You have no idea how powerful this can be to somebody who's an owner-occupier who have owned the property for potentially 30, 40 years. They've raised their family in the home and they want to make sure that this home goes to another family that are going to treat it with as much love and respect as they did, and they've created as much memories and love in it as they did. They have sentimental value attached to this property and they want to make sure it goes to a good owner. I would go as far as to say that type of vendor will choose another young family 9 times out of 10 over an investor. That investor may be able to offer more money than you, but they can't bring the story that you can offer. On the flip side of that, if it's an investor who's looking to sell, find out why they want to sell. Have they only bought it recently and now they want to sell again? That may indicate they're under mortgage stress. And if you're nice with the agent, they might even tell you that, in which case they might be looking to sell very quickly. If you have maybe a construction background, you could forego the building and pest inspection, which would get the property over the line quicker. An investor who's under a little bit of mortgage stress might look at that very favorably. So I can't stress the importance of understanding the vendors why and why they want to sell. It is the easiest way to win a negotiation when you understand your vendor and why they want to sell and their motivations. Number 5 is you want to ramp up your price offers. So again, depending on what market you're in, if you are in a buyer's market, this gives you an awful lot more negotiation power. If you are in a seller's market, like your Perth at the time of recording this video, then you might not be able to implement this strategy. You might have to just go straight in with your first offer and hope it's accepted. It might be prudent to ramp your offers and stagger them out, slowly building up to the final price of what you actually want to pay. So to give an example, say you want to buy a house here in Sydney and your market analysis has told you that about $1 million is what the property is worth. Now, if you go straight to that agent and bid $1 million, that's where you've set pretty much the minimum expectations, depending on other bidders as well, where the expectations of that vendor are. And they may be like, well, I think I could get more than that. If, however, you bid first maybe 16% below market value, which was probably a lowball offer, they may, depending on your relationship with the agent, they may not look at that very favorably. So treading this one a bit lightly, about 10% or less of market value is probably considered a lowball offer. However, it's not the worst. If it is a buyer's market, they may not be receiving an awful lot of offers. So following on that example, if it's $1 million property, you may offer $840,000 as your first initial offer. What this does is sets an extremely low anchor point, and if the vendor hasn't received any other bids and it is a buyer's market, it will set their expectations really, really low, and from there you can bid slowly up to the price that you want to pay, which is $1 million. They will obviously reject this. They might even ignore you because they think you're time wasting, at which point you can put in your second bid. A couple of days later, have another phone call with the real estate agent, try and gauge where the vendor is at. Your next one in at 3% below, 970. This one might be offered, and if so, happy days. If not, you finally offer $1 million. Based on your market analysis, you're happy to pay that. You think that's market value. And at this point, the vendor thinks they've won the negotiation because you started bidding from so low and slowly built up. But realistically, that's the price you wanted to pay anyway. Pro tip, add in a non-monetary item with your final bid, like tickets to a football game or a nice fancy cutlery set. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it shows good faith. It makes the vendor think that you have absolutely zero money left and you're getting desperate and you're throwing in non-monetary items just to win the property. Again, I'd like to iterate that ramping your price or offering below market value really only works if the market isn't extremely hot. If you are buying in a really hot market or a seller's market, this tactic probably won't work because the vendor is going to be receiving so many other offers way higher than yours. And the sixth and final tip is to seek terms. So depending on where the vendor's stance is, they may be very, very hard-nosed on price, and there's not much you can do about that. If you can't match the price, and perhaps it's a buyer's market and you don't have that much competition, you can offer to seek terms instead. And what I mean by this is negotiating around non-monetary terms like settlement, like finance, like building and pest inspection, like even furniture. Depending on how much you investigated into the vendor's motivation and why will determine which one of these you should use. If, like earlier, it's an investor and they're under an awful lot of mortgage stress, the standard settlement date in New South Wales is only about 30 days. However, you can offer a shorter settlement date to get them over the line a lot quicker. An investor client who is under an awful lot of finance stress will look at this very favorably. The flip side of that is if it's an owner occupier and they want to sell the house, but they haven't bought a new property yet, you may offer a longer settlement, maybe 3 months, possibly even 6 months. That gives them time to go out and buy another property, doesn't put them under too much stress, and alleviates any of their worry about the moving process and allows you to buy the home and allows them to go find another home in the meantime. Again, offering terms like this may influence the vendor to take your offer, even though you couldn't offer as much as other possible buyers. You gave them terms that they want and you made it a win-win situation. Also, the vendor might be moving interstate or they might be moving abroad. They have all this furniture in the house and they don't know what to do with it. You could offer to buy a lot of the furniture off them so they don't have to worry about selling it or putting it in storage or anything like that. Again, they might look at this very favorably, and depending on how much you really want the property, you mightn't even ever want the furniture, but if it helps get the deal across the line, it might be a good solution. They dictate price, you dictate terms. Get creative with terms, anything to get them across the line. So I hope that helped, guys. I hope this made you a lot more confident and less overwhelmed about the whole negotiation process. The key takeaway from all this is try and make it a win-win situation. Don't go in with the mindset of I need to, turn them over and influence them and make them give me the house and that's all I just want to take from them. if you can try and understand their motivation and their why, and see if you can come out in negotiation with both parties making it a win, you'll blow away your competition and the vendor is way more likely to sell the house to you. My name is Andy, guys. Thanks for watching.